Hey guys, I'm Lucas McCain here in Fort Worth, Texas, and I'm glad to be showing you my studio for Texas Clay Fest. We're gonna start here. I want to show you my wedging table. I've got an old butcher block that I used to wedge on. I've got some got a wire set up. I love to wire wedge clay that I'm reworking. Move over here to my wheels. This is where all the magic happens. And then I've got a wheel set up just for trimming. And to keep the mess down, I like to use this guard I made out of an old trash can. Saw that online. You can find tutorials for that online for making one for yourself. It's got my grip on there. Here's where I do all my glazing. Keep my glaze and my glaze materials for making glaze. Lots of brushes to play with. This table here is good for cleaning. You might want to have a stainless table or something that's slick that you can wipe up if you're going to be glazing on it. Like to keep all my finished fired pots here. It's really tough for me to keep everything separated. You know how messy potters are. And here we've got stuff that's coming out of the kiln or about to go into the kiln, bisqueware. I keep all of my a lot of finished pots in these bins. Here's some pots that I've glazed. I'm going to be firing a kiln later in the week. Something, if you're just starting a studio, something you might want to, you might never have thought of is keeping work damp for a while. So this is just a Tupperware bin that I put some plaster into, and you can keep pots in there for quite a while. So I'm going to put a handle on this later, and I just need to keep it moist.
So why plaster at the bottom?
Plaster soaks up the water, and it allows to stay humid. Huh. So I need to actually pour some water in there. I'll just pour water onto the plaster, and then it holds onto it and keeps a humid atmosphere.
Interesting.
Yeah, I just tuck those under there. Right here, I've got it hidden a little slab roller underneath this tabletop. If I want to do slab work.
How often do you use that, Lucas?
I don't use this very often.
Yeah.
Maybe 3 times a year.
Okay.
Yeah, very rarely. I'll just do a series of stuff and then be done with it. Yeah, I'm on the wheel all the time.
Cool.
Yeah.
Can I ask you some questions?
Yes, please.
Okay, so
I feel like I'm lost.
So the plaster retains water and it keeps it moist. And I always think of plaster soaking up water, like.
Well, it does. So it soaks it up,
Uh-huh.
and so it keeps it from escaping.
Okay.
The plaster's holding it,
Huh.
and as it's trying to escape, the plaster's pulling it back down
How
into
long
it.
have you been able to keep something? How long?
Oh,
until
you could
go
keep
in
it
there
indefinitely.
indefinitely?
Now this one is better because it seals better. This one has the fold top. I just had it around, and so it'll lose some. Sometimes I'll put plastic over it and close it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that one was a little dry, so I would pour water into it.
And you poured that plaster directly in there.
Yeah, I mixed it up and then poured it right in there.
And that's cool too because you get your nice flat base.
Mm-hmm.
So Jonathan Martin at Black Oak Art, he used those bins from Home Depot,
Mm-hmm.
but we just put.
You can see this like soak up
sure
in
enough.
there. Just soaks right down in there.
That is cool.
Yeah. So I could probably put, a half a gallon in there. I don't know.
That's remarkable. I'm gonna start doing that.
The only downside is they're really heavy. So Jonathan probably didn't.
Yeah,
They're moving them, transporting them. You wouldn't want that. And they're getting after it, so they don't need to keep them for a month.
Yeah. You have this island here in the middle.
Yeah.
And you're using this as kind of like a standing work area.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got other That's where you keep all your bats.
Yeah, I'll keep a lot of bats right there. That doesn't really get moved around much, but it could. It's on wheels. I do a lot of glaze work right here. And if I'm doing hand building right here, or I'll stage pots that I'm carving.
And you got a good seat here.
So I'll sit there and carve. And usually if I'm carving pots or if I'm handling mugs, I'm kind of trimming.
Yeah.
After they're trimmed, then I'm putting a handle on. So I'm moving back and forth between this little area here. So all my trimming tools are right here. Couple brushes just for adding slip. These are for putting slip on for handles. And I use I have some wood carving tools I use for trimming, for putting little edges and putting
yeah, you do a lot of cool
little I'm just starting to. I don't know that I'm getting very sophisticated, but I'm just starting. So to carve back through that texture, I'll use these little flat trimming tools to create that smooth spot.
I didn't even realize that was one.
Yeah, so I can do serrated ribs all the way
cool.
down.
Huh.
And then if you do a serrated rib, it gets really sharp. You know, so after I'll do the rib and the serrated rib and scratch it, and then I'll come back with something very soft.
Now, what
like
is this?
this.
You just made this, yeah?
Yeah, you can make this out of something soft plastic, maybe the top of a yogurt container, or just flex it and see how soft it is. So this is a really soft one, and I'll just smooth it down a little bit. Just take the edge off of it so it's not scratchy.
Yeah. So
most of this is smooth. There's a few burrs right there.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, there's and these are, I'm a big advocate of just making stuff. Don't spend money. So I wanted to try different rib shapes, so I had these plastic containers, and so it felt medium stiff, and so I just cut that out with scissors. And then there were several I made that weren't a good shape, so I'm not out any money. I just throw it away or recut it into a different shape, And I really like these.
Are these dry elements? What's in here?
Yeah, so there's big bags of glaze chemicals in here. And I keep them in jars up top. Jars have really been better than... I would like to get all of them out of bags. Yeah. These just waft dust and they're hard to label. So I'm really moving towards the big jalapeno jar. We go through a lot of jalapenos, so if I can just get them all in that and be consistent, that'd be great.
Binge. Jalapeno binge. Cool, man.
And I like to keep pots around. This is a pot from Stan Irvin. No, this Stan is down in he's down in Rockport. Okay. He just got a studio there. You should go visit his studio in Rockport if you ever can. It's really neat. I don't remember. This guy's from Oklahoma, I think. I got it at a little gallery. This one my mom made when I was in the womb. She was taking a pottery class.
Oh my
gosh.
And
who knows where. I don't know where she was. I don't remember where she was, but she said she was pregnant with me, and so some kind of who knows, yeah.
Cool. So glaze elements. You built this?
Yeah, I just built this into the garage. So 2x4s, 2x6s. It's bolted to the wall. You want it to be sturdy, unless everybody's got their own way of working. If you need it to move around, you can put wheels. So many of these things were found. These were tall rolling shelves that came from a potter in Corpus Christi that I bought my first wheel from. And he sold me these shelves, and I used them. I used to roll them around in here, but they seem to be cluttering up my studio more than just putting things on the wall. So I like to have things on the wall, and these, for me, I like to have just shelves that can adjust, so I can have some type of height adjustment. And
Oops, sorry. Is that the same height? I think this is a little lower.
yeah, is that hole there? Yeah.
And why did you decide on this kiln?
That was just about the size. At the time, I was working at the supply house. That's what I could fit in the house we had. So just that's how much we could fit on the breaker.
Right.
So that was a different house. I moved it over here. And it's been great. It's been a great kiln. It's good size.
And Scott's here in Dallas, yeah?
This is Paragon.
Oh, this is
And
Paragon.
they are in Dallas, yeah.
That's it.
Mm-hmm. And I didn't really know much about kilns, so I like having them close to get parts. I don't know that they're the easiest to maintain. I've heard other kilns are easier to maintain. I would get a professional to wire your kiln if you're trying to put a home studio in. You know, get an electrician to come and make a good connection for you. If you can vent it or have it away from where you work, that's good too. Have it in a separate space.
You don't have you do have a vent.
I have a vent I'll put out here and just blow out.
Got it.
Yeah. It pulls from the bottom.
It's kind of how we do too, is just have it by the garage door. I just leave the garage door
Mm-hmm.
up.
Yeah, I would like to put it out the wall so that in the wintertime, it'd be safer.
So your
Yeah.
clay is right here.
Yeah, I just bring my clay in, stack it here. I use 2 clays. I use B-Mix, a Cone 5 B-Mix, and from Laguna, and I use a red clay from Armadillo, Cinco Rojo. I like both of them. They're both fairly smooth. They're not groggy for me. I like that. It allows me to do brush work or the design work, make clean lines on it when it's nice and smooth. And then I like the dark color of the Cinco Rojo. I like the way it interacts with my white glaze. So
Yeah.
for Cone 6 electric, it's good I like that strong red as opposed to kind of the in-between.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Cinco Rojo looks like terracotta.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's got a little bit more of a brown. I've got some terracotta pots from a potter, and it is it's got that reddish. It's got a little more red, like Sedona.
I forgot what's down here. So this is where you wedge, right?
Yeah, this is where I wedge.
You got your IKEA or whatever that is.
Let's take this off. Ooh, that's a good. Yeah, so the ice chest is good for storing clay that you want to keep wet. So when I have a bunch of scraps, they go in these buckets. So I've got red scraps, white scraps, and when I get a ton of them, I just mix them up with a drill, pour them into. I use like old sheets and towels, and I'll just pour them into a tray with the sheet draped underneath, and then cover them up and let them dry out, and then I throw them in here, and it keeps them wet. So I'll just cover them with plastic, spray them down. This is like a wet box for clay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I just found this on the side of the road. Somebody's throwing away an ice chest, so it's free clay storage.
Huh.
Yeah. You could use a plastic bin too.
Okay.
But these have a nice seal. They have a
Yes.
nice seal on top.
And you're throwing standing up. You got these on cinder blocks.
Yeah, sitting was hurting my back. So I like to throw standing up, and just to use like my hip to support, or if I'm throwing small pieces, I don't need a support. But
So is that how you stand when you're throwing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I kind of stand to the side and use my pedal here.
So you're anchoring in just on your body.
Yeah, if I need to center, I'll use my hip right there.
Huh.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah.
And And these are 2 clay bosses you're throwing up?
Mm-hmm.
Or clay boss, yeah?
Yeah, these are clay bosses. Mm-hmm. This is probably, I've had this, probably about 13 years.
Okay.
I've never had to replace a single part on it.
Really?
Yeah, so it's been great. It's an affordable, it's a low-end wheel. It's not
I got
like...
the same one after your recommendation.
Okay,
I mean... any problem, I love it.
You like it, okay. So I wouldn't say this is the Cadillac of wheels by any means. Potters would have a lot of opinions about what the best wheel is, but that's what I could afford 13 years ago.
Yeah.
Because I was just getting started, and but I haven't ever had to replace it, so I'm not gonna buy anything till I have to.
If you got headphones on, it's not. You can't hear it either.
Yeah, that's right. And this one was given to me, donated. I cleaned out a workshop, and they had a bunch of stuff they needed to take hauled off, and they didn't know what to do with this, so they just gave it to me, and so I use it for trimming.
Cool.
Yeah.
What visual references? I see your board's kind of covered up over there, but who are some of the people you're looking at, or you like looking at?
Well, I really like, from early on, I was a big fan of Ellen Shankin in Virginia in college. I don't know what it was about her pots, but she's got interesting glazes that are just real subtle and quiet, and so I've been to her studio and bought a few pots of hers. I love looking at wood-fired pots, but I don't have access to a wood kiln, so it's kind of like more like fantasy and dreaming of the surfaces. So I love seeing like salt or soda-fired pots, wood-fired pots.
Fire does so much of the work.
Yeah, and I enjoy
the
that.
That makes the fire, but
yeah, and I enjoy fires.
Yeah, right.
Like I make fires all the time. I just don't make kiln fires, and so the few times I've been able to do those, that's what I love. Yeah, but it's hard to get access to that. Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah. And I guess the only other tool that a beginner might be interested in getting eventually would be an extruder. I use these for handles, and you can, if you've never seen one of these, you squeeze it down and the clay comes out the bottom, and there's these dies. So I cut little dies out of these. These are caps from the plumbing department of Home Depot.
Is that right?
So these are pennies. I don't know how much they are.
Right.
Maybe 50 cents, and it's solid, and I just trace with the Sharpie there. You can kind of see the line. Trace with the Sharpie, and then X-Acto knife it out, and then I cut a hole in this piece here. So I've got multiples of these, different shapes or whatever I'm making. Pop it in, slide it in here, and then tighten it up right here so that that's tight, and then I can extrude that out. So.
Man, I'd love for you to do a demo of a handle at some point.
Yeah, that'd be good. Handle.
Your handles are phenomenal.
Oh,
yours are my
thanks.
go-to mugs. Yours and Susan Kennedy.
Really?
Just have the delightful handle.
The way they feel. Now this is like sacrilegious to potters, but I was so. Oh, that's your water. I won't drink it. But I was so frustrated with my handles. They just didn't feel comfortable. Huh. And one day I was noticing that I loved this. There was this travel thermos I was using. And it was like the cheapest of cheap Walmart stainless thermos with this rubber handle. And I was like, this is the cheapest mug, but why do I like this handle? And I just was like, why don't I just make the same cross section as this handle? So I just stole the cross section from that plastic handle, which some designer drew up on AutoCAD probably.
Right.
And it's similar to that. Theirs were a little more, it was a little narrower and more round. It's like you squeezed it in, and I kind of flattened it a little bit. Because I couldn't.
How cool is that?
Yeah, so it's a really, I say it's sacrilegious because you're taking it from the most mass-produced thing, but they're comfortable. They're rounded on the inside. For me, that's what I like, is that rounded They're
I do
rounded.
too. That's what I like too. Mine has been a lot too flat lately. I'll dip it in, but anyhow.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Well, you want to just say bye to these guys?
Yeah. See you guys. See you online at Texas Clay Fest 2020.